Okay, class. So before I sign off for the weekend, I wanted to make a video. I got a few questions here and there about the outline, and I can tell that people are nervous. So I wanted to give you some ideas on how you can get this assignment completed. I'm going to share screen with you. And so what I want you to do is let's pretend we're sitting in a classroom right now, right? I'm at the front of the classroom, you're sitting at your desks, and I have a big whiteboard behind me, and I'm writing these things out for you. So the whiteboard is the Word document I'm about to show you, right? This is the whiteboard, okay? So we're in a classroom, we're looking at this. This is written on the whiteboard. So what I did is I cut and paste the prompt for your essay. And so remember, for the assignment that you're turning in this week, you have to do an outline. So what that means is that you need a complete intro or introduction, right? And we know it has to have a hook, context, and a thesis. And remember, there is a video for each and every one of these things on the YouTube channel and also on Canvas. So you don't have to memorize this. You can look it up on YouTube and like watch it as many times as you need to. And then I'm also asking you for the topic sentences for your body paragraphs. And I want you to include a source or a quote you'll be using for your paragraph. So a source is a source. I can't talk and type. Or a quote. Okay. Now, I was chatting with one of your classmates and he asked me, do I have to stick with the sources I turned in last week? No, you can change them, because as you'll notice that as you begin your writing process, oftentimes you're like, I don't think I want to go that direction anymore. I think I want to stick to this point. Let me find a source that's going to help me stick to the point that I want to write about. So you're not married to the sources you turned in last week. If you find something better or something that's aligned closer to what you're trying to write about or what you're trying to argue, then please replace the sources. You don't have to stick to the ones you submitted. All right. So you need a complete introduction. And if you remember, you have to indent. And the first thing you do is you give me your hook. And remember, your hook is the attention grabber. And it seems like from what I'm hearing in the emails is that a lot of people are stuck right here. And I think I mentioned in the previous video about outlines that if you get stuck on the attention grabber, you're going to be stuck there for a long time, because we want to make sure that we start our papers in the most exciting way. And sometimes that doesn't become obvious to us until we're way into the paper. So if you find yourself that you're like, I don't know how to get started, it's probably because you're stuck at the hook. So let's leave that blank for now. But then you know that what comes next is context. And so how do you even get started on context? Here is a suggestion that I feel like other students have done and it worked really well. So let's look at the prompt. The question is, select a global, legislative, or social priority, an issue or problem that's far more pressing than others. Far more pressing is the key word. So I've seen a myriad of topics based on your abstracts and on your works cited. And I gave you feedback. Some of the topics, I mean, you can argue it, absolutely. But I guess I don't know if they're, with just so much stuff going on in the world right now, I don't know if some of these issues are far more pressing than others. So sit down and think about this. What is an issue that you feel is far more pressing than others? Like, it's going to require you to reflect on that a little bit. Because if you just pick, you're like, okay, well, I wrote a paper on the impacts of social media before. I think I can kind of broaden the topic a little bit more for this paper. It's not going to work unless you're going to tie social media with, I don't know, what's happening with the economy. You got to pick an issue that's far more pressing than others. So really think about that. Be responsible with that. Okay. So in context, if you were going to answer this question in context, you would, what is the issue? Where are we now? with this issue. So one thing that I've noticed is that sometimes students use context to give history, which is great. You should be doing that because you want to situate your reader, right? So you want to give them some history. But unfortunately, sometimes it drowns out what the point of your paper is. So if you're telling me, if you want to give me some history on your issue, I would start with where the issue is today, and then maybe provide a little bit of what happened in the past. Okay. So start presently and maybe work your way backwards a little. You don't have to start like if you're doing something like pro-choice and what's happening in the Supreme Court right now. If you start when Roe versus Wade, first happened and all of that, you're going to include that in your context, but I would start with what's happening in the Supreme Court right now and then work your way back to the history. So what is the issue? Where are we now with this issue? How has the past affected where we are now? Okay. And then in your thesis, let me type this out first because it's so difficult for me to type and talk at the same time. In your thesis, you're going to answer this question right here. An issue or a problem that's far more pressing than others. So guess what the question here is going to be? How is this issue far more pressing than others? You are going to answer this question in your thesis. Now, you remember that the thesis, if you've watched the lecture videos, the thesis has to make a claim, right? And a claim is a topic, an opinion, and a why. Okay. So look at all of the things that you need to do for this paper, for the introduction. So it might be that your introduction takes up your whole first page of your essay. It would make sense. I'm asking you to provide so much information. And then plus, when you put your name, my name, and you follow all of the MLA format, it would make perfect sense if the introduction goes into, page number 2, takes up a little bit of page number 2. So don't shy away from making it too long. I would anticipate that the intro for this paper is probably going to be at least the whole first page and maybe, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 sentences in the second page. If I'm like imagining all the things that I'm going to need to know about your issue, that's around the length. And for those of you that are always like, how many words, how many sentences? I'm giving you an estimate. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's it, but I'm giving you a little bit of an estimate. All right. So once you finish that, you know that the introduction is the first paragraph of an essay. So once you finish that for your outline, then I'm asking you to give me the topic sentences for your essay. So what do you think the topic sentences are? What are those topic sentences supposed to talk about? Well, I broke it up for you right here, right? So topic sentence number 1, right? The first paragraph could be about, you're going to identify major arguments against, right? The problem or issue. So I don't know how many, everybody has like different issues, and there's a variety of arguments against the issue that you might have. So this might take you 2 paragraphs, right? So you might be answering this question of identifying major arguments. Let's say you dedicate 2 body paragraphs to that, depending on what your issue is. Okay. Now let's say that for body paragraph number 3, like you're done, you presented the 2 major arguments against, because remember, we're sticking per paragraph, it's 1 topic per paragraph, right? So for example, if someone's writing about the January 6th, God, what was the word? I don't want to say, what's the word? I don't know. I'm like getting like a like brain fog, but essentially, if you're going to talk about what happened in January 6th, where these vigilantes tried to take over the Capitol, actually tried to take over the presidential election, right? Let's say that you're arguing that that how this particular issue needs to be prosecuted. For example, many people are arguing that, you know, these vigilantes weren't responsible for their actions because they were emboldened by, you know, the previous president and the previous administration, right? So let's say that you identify two major arguments about how this case is going to be prosecuted or how it's being handled. And you're basically saying, like, this needs to be handled in this way, right? Because our democracy is at stake, whatever your argument is around that. So here are two major arguments against. Let's say now we get to your third body paragraph. What do you think the third body paragraph is going to be about? I gave it to you right here. What is most needed to solve this issue or problem, right? And because you identify two major arguments against, if you want to keep the symmetry of your argument, then you can, dedicate two body paragraphs to what is most needed. Okay. And then, you know, what can you or we do concretely to help? Then let's say your next body paragraph is, what can we do, right? Right. All of this is specific to your topic. So I'm just kind of throwing some examples out there, which I don't like really to do, because unless we're having a conversation in class or we have a live discussion, because people tend to get a little bit confused. Sometimes they're like, oh, wait a minute, you wanted me to write about January 6th? No, I don't want you to write about January 6th. You had the choice to pick your own topic. I'm just throwing an example out there. Oh, wait a minute, you wanted me to write about Roe versus Wade? No, I don't want you to write about that. You can if you want. But what I'm saying is that I would consider the topic for this assignment, I would consider it at that level, right? At that level, at that magnitude. And I think it would make it just more interesting too, because I want to hear your opinion about stuff that's happening in the world right now, right? And this is what makes this paper, what is going to make it very rich, because it's something that we can look out in our window and it's actually happening right before our eyes, right? We're living this right now. So the outline is requiring you to outline each topic sentence. Remember, a topic sentence is also a claim, right? So each topic sentence has to have, I'll put TS, it has to have a topic, an opinion, and a why. Okay, so each and every one of these sentences has to have a topic, an opinion, and a why. A topic, an opinion, and a why of what is the major argument against. A topic, an opinion, and a why, what is the most needed. So then this represents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different body paragraphs. Now you have a whole extra video about how I want you to write out the body paragraphs, the order that it needs to go in, but at least you know, in this body paragraph, this is what I'm going to write about. In this body paragraph, this is what I'm going to write about. That's what the whole point of this outline is. Now, if you can actually incorporate quotes or text from a source, that would be great. Like, you want to incorporate that, so that way you already know, like, okay, I'm going to write about this. This is what I'm going to write about. And here's the source I'm going to use. Okay. I hope this was helpful. I hope that this can at least get you unstuck, because I know, let me stop sharing. And I'm recording this, so of course I'm going to upload it and everything. You can watch this as many times as you need, but just remember, you know, here, this is where you're at, right? These are the things, this is going to set the organization of your paper. Follow the prompt, answer all of the tasks. That's all you need to do. Okay. But also remember that the question is, why is this problem far more pressing than others? And far more pressing essentially means, why is it so urgent? Why is it the most important? Does that make sense? And I've seen some amazing topics that you guys submitted. I think someone submitted something on like the case for reparations, which I think is a dope topic, and we should talk about that. I saw a topic of defunding the police. I saw a topic on what else did I see on there that was pretty cool? Racial equity and higher learning. I saw so many good things. So I don't want you to think like, oh, maybe my topic is not a good enough. How do you know if your topic is good enough or if it's met the standards? Let me rephrase that. How do you know if your topic has met the standards? I gave you feedback. You should open up your abstract and see my comments. I gave you feedback on your topic. I even gave you feedback. Let's say you turned in a topic that wasn't necessarily completely teased out. I gave you some ideas of like, why don't you read this researcher and see what he has to say? Or you should add this other part to it. That was the whole point of, you submitting an abstract for this assignment before actually submitting your outline. I wanted to make sure that if you were going to spend time writing about something, including if you were going to spend time on an outline, I wanted to make sure that the topic met the standards so that you don't have to go back to the drawing board and do double work, if that makes sense. Okay, guys, I think, not guys, class, I'm going to save this, make sure that I put closed captions on it and upload it for you. And I hope that this video helped. If you watch this video and you have more questions, I know I tend to talk a little fast, but if you watch this video and have further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Do not hesitate to reach out. And I do check my email during the weekend, not as often as I do during the week, but I do check it. So I hope that this helped. I hope you guys are doing, feeling more confident with your outline. And if there's any other videos that I can make for you explaining things, remember, there's already a video on how to outline your paper. There's already a video on how to write an introduction. There's already a video on what's a thesis statement. There's already a video on topic sentences. All of these lecture videos are already up there. And then I have this as well for you. So, all right, if you have any questions, reach out.